Sergeant and Mrs. Smith, you're going to love this house.
Is that a tub in the kitchen?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
What's up, everybody? We're here with the Detroit Koolaid cast, the first one of 2018, and I'm here with the Big Hughes.
What up?
We are going to dive into our first 2018 mock draft. We're going to keep this pretty simple for you guys. We're going to alternate between picks. I'm going to give the Big Hughes the number one pick in the draft. Once he makes that selection, it'll come to me, and we'll kind of talk you guys through what we're thinking as we head towards that number 20 pick for the Detroit Lions, our Detroit Lions. So, Big Hughes, if you got any opening comments, or you are now on the clock, my friend.
No opening comments. I'm just ready to lead the 0-16 Browns back to the promised land.
Nice. Somebody has to.
Seriously. All right, so with the first pick in the 2018 Kool-Aid mock draft, the Cleveland Browns select quarterback Sam Darnold from USC.
Wow, okay. You did go with the quarterback. He had some other thoughts, wasn't sure where you're going, but that definitely is sort of the consensus between him and Rosen. So,
yep, I just don't think that Cleveland picks their guy. I don't think they want to take the chance of not being able to get him, and we all know by now, after all these years, they need a quarterback bad.
Yeah, oh, there's no doubt. I actually think Darnold is my favorite out of the two, but I don't know if he's a Cleveland guy. You know, it just doesn't seem like a Cleveland guy coming from USC there, but like you say, it's all about what you do on the field. So
that's right.
We'll see how it goes. He takes quarterback at 1. I'm on the clock here, number 2 with the New York Giants. So in all my fantasy leagues, I basically got Odell Beckham, so looking for him to have a bounce back. We got Eli, who was terrible last year, but looks like they're sticking with him. So with the second pick, I'm going to go ahead and take the number 1 skill player in this draft, Saquon Barkley. With that, I just feel like they add a running back to that offense. If you got Odell on the outside, you got a quarterback, and you have a running back. You know, they still need O-line help, but we think we can get that later if we're the Giants. And adding a running back, you know, if you look back at when the Giants were good, they had good running game. Eli was a bit better, and they had some good players on the outside. So between Shepard, Odell, and I'm not sure what Brandon Marshall's story is, that offense looks like it'd be clicking. That's the way I'm going.
Smart pick. They say that he's a most scouted running back or highly scouted running back since LT. So we'll see if that rings true.
Definitely.
So with the third pick for Indy, I think Indy lucks out because in most drafts, this guy would probably be the number 1 overall pick, but because there's so many teams at the top that are quarterback hungry, he slips all the way down to third. So with the third pick, the Colts are going to take Mr. Bradley Chubb.
Bradley Chubb out of NC State.
Yes, sir. That team has a bunch of players on defense that nobody can even name, so they get the Chubb started out.
Nice, man. I gotta admit, you know, I'm still getting into some of these players, and I've seen him at the top of a lot of drafts. I really haven't watched a ton of them. You know, I didn't tune into too many NC State football games, but edge rushing is always at a premium, so I can definitely see that. But I definitely need to kind of see more, like you said. Be curious if he slips down in the 7-8 range based on how these first 2 picks go. So, good playmaker on defense, though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm on the clock here at 4 with Cleveland.
Sure.
Cleveland has taken their quarterback already, so kind of changes my plans. I know just in thinking about this, if I was Cleveland, I might get that Saquon Barkley, and then I hear I'm sitting with Rosen on the board, getting my combo that way. But without that, I've got my quarterback. I'm just going to go ahead and take one of the biggest playmakers and NFL-ready people that I think is out there to add to this kind of sneaky young Cleveland team and defense. I'm going to add Minkah Fitzpatrick from Alabama.
Ooh, put him back there with Pats.
Yes. Just move him all over the field and just have him rushing. And, you know, I actually heard that this guy could probably play corner is what I was hearing recently. So corner, safety. I've even got an outside linebacker type tag on him. Love to just see this guy kind of all over the field, along with moving peppers rather than playing him deep like they did last year. Get after the passer, come down in the run game, and just create havoc for teams with those two guys. So
I like it. Alabama's always good at making some pro players. So
right, when I saw him, I just thought, man, this guy looks like he's a 4-year pro already. In the national title game, I saw this guy, and I thought, well, he's pro ready in my opinion. So that's where I'm going at 4.
I like it. So at the 5th pick with Denver, so this to foreshadow this, I'm picking here based on current day rosters. Now, I believe that by the time the draft starts or by the time the season starts, at Denver is probably going to have one of the veteran quarterbacks, but based on their roster now, they have to take one of these young guns. So at the 5th pick for Denver, I'm taking good old Josh Rosen out of UCLA.
Josh Rosen, nice. I haven't seen kind of him going at 5, but man, to me that's one of the best fits because I've heard he's kind of a off the wall kind of personality or kind of a cocky guy. Seems like an Elway type quarterback to me, especially out in the West where they like to kind of put up points and swing it around, and I could definitely see that. So
he doesn't quite have the skill set of Sam Darnold, but I mean he's probably the most pro ready coming out of the pro style offense that Jim Moore Jr. had in UCLA. I think that is the type of thing that the Broncos are looking at as somebody they can plug in right away.
Yeah, nice. Now you said a vet quarterback. Did you have anybody in mind? Do you think they're going to get a vet and take the young guy?
No, I think they're going to end up getting a vet, and if they do that, they're not going to draft a young guy. I think they're going to go hard after Cousins.
Okay. So you're drafting sort of, if they don't get it, you're going to get the young guy type of thing.
Yeah, I'm just drafting based on their roster now. If they get somebody like Cousins, they're probably looking at one of these defensive guys at this spot. But based on their roster sitting right now, I'm taking Rosen.
Okay, or maybe some O-line help if they got him. I actually heard a intriguing thing like Kirk Cousins to Minnesota, which I hadn't heard until like this last week or so. And if you think about it, that really makes sense with sort of the defensive team they have set up. And he seems like a Minnesota type guy. Kirk Cousins, just football guy, kind of wants to just bury his head in the snow literally and go out and play. So I keep your eye on that. And Denver still has Lynch and a couple other guys. So they're almost just trying to figure it out with these young quarterbacks, trying to swing until they hit a home run with somebody. But Rosen, I think, would play well there. So with so number 6, the 6th pick overall, we got the Jets. Looking at the board here, best available. They drafted a lot of defense, a lot of defensive line. They definitely need playmakers kind of all over the field on offense. Just looking at the board overall, I'm going to select, and they have taken quite a few of these recently too. We're going to go another swing, another shot at the dartboard. We're going to take Baker Mayfield, quarterback, Oklahoma.
Let the circus return to New York, eh?
I think everybody says he's kind of a loose cannon because of that thing he did, but I think this guy's a leader, a winner, and a guy so accurate. I mean, you don't win the Heisman by accident, so I think he could fit right in there and be that gunslinger / playmaker that the Jets haven't found by drafting bums like Geno Smith and some of those other terrible quarterbacks they've taken.
He reminds me a lot. So obviously, with us being Detroit Koolaid, we're Detroit sports in our blood. He reminds me a lot of Rasheed Wallace because he's the guy on your team that if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not, you hate him. Absolutely hate him. Like everybody gets behind Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma, but everybody outside of Oklahoma can't stand the sight of him. So.
Right. No, I like that cross-sport comparison, but like I said, I haven't seen anything other than the antics the one time on the sideline. That's a big deal. I mean, he's a winner. He puts up numbers. The college game transfer, Oklahoma always has that crazy offense, so it's not totally like pro style, but I don't know. It's a little bit of a stretch. I could see him falling too, but I just think you got to get that signal caller, and the way it fell, he's the best guy sort of left at that point. So we'll go and take that because we already got safeties, we got D-line, we got some linebackers. No good running backs or wideouts worth that pick, so give me the QB.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, so now we're on to Tampa Bay. Now this is usually the range in the draft where the picks start getting crazy and there's some name that just comes out of nowhere. And I'm not sure if this name is out of nowhere yet because he sure did get a lot of TV time during the Senior Bowl week, but I'm giving him a pass rusher and a hot name right now, which is Marcus Davenport.
I think you did drop the first bomb of this mock.
Yep.
You know, I'd kind of talked with you and a few others about this guy. I'd heard about him, heard his upside, and then as I kind of got caught up on Senior Bowl, it was like everybody was like, he's not showing up in practice, he's not doing anything, and then come game time, he showed up big. So I got no idea what to think of this guy. I've heard him as top 10, and I've heard him in third round. So we will see, but definitely interesting, and I'm not really sure where Tampa Bay sits with their D-line. They've taken tons of them, but I guess I heard Claiborne is up. He'll be a free agent, and a few other.
Yep.
Is Claiborne there, or was he in Atlanta?
No, he's in Atlanta. I mean, they still got McCoy, and they have that one guy who believed in dinosaurs or whatever, but I don't remember what his name is.
Right, they got a few outside guys.
He's gonna once we get out into this combine circuit, so to speak. He's one of those guys that just jumps off the page at you with athletic ability. And it's going to make teams drool and not want to pass him up. I mean, dude's 6'6", 255 pounds. You remember a guy back in the day by the name of Vernon Golston who looked just like this guy, who was such a high pick because he was a combine monster, and then he just falls off the page. So this reminds me a lot of that. Just a lot of Senior Bowl hype, a lot of hype coming out of the combine because he's going to test off the charts, and you can't pass that up. And I don't think Tampa Bay is willing to with their lack of depth on the defensive line.
All right, interesting. This is the Detroit Koolaid cast, so he's definitely one of the guys on the Lions' radar. We love that size, height, weight, speed. It could be nice if they do decide to keep Ziggy, but it'll just be interesting to see where he falls. And like you said, what kind of NFL prospect and player is he? He came from a small school, but he's got everything else. Will he be a bum or a stud? We'll really have to wait and see. So, good, interesting twist there, and a pick at 7 of Marcus Davenport. So, with number 8, I got the Chicago Bears on the board, one of our least favorite teams here in Detroit. I'm going to take, they definitely need some skilled players on the outside. I like Howard in the backfield. A QB, they invested such a big price. They're obviously set there for a while trying to figure that out. Just looking through best available here, we've got names like Quentin Nelson, Denzel Ward on the outside, Derwin James, Calvin Ridley. I think it's too early for Calvin Ridley. He's been set as like a number 2 or just kind of a good receiver, but not a playmaker. So I don't think you can take him here at 8. I really don't know the O-line off the top of my head for the Bears. I know they put some resources there. But just due to value and because he slipped here to 8, I'm going to give him Quentin Nelson to maybe play either opposite, hopefully, of Long there on the interior, and give them like a kind of smash mouth Bears front that they always seem to feel like they want and try to build. So Quentin Nelson might even go in the top 5, but because he's here at 8, I'm going to go ahead and go with him, offensive guard.
Yeah, I think a lot of the quote unquote experts have him as like the 2 or 3 top prospects in the draft, but just based on his position alone, you can't draft a guard, top 3. So I think the Bears would be, pretty happy with him dropping down to number 8. Right. To add some depth to that offensive line.
Yep.
So interesting in San Francisco because obviously they just broke the bank on Jimmy G, and you want to put some people around him. He doesn't really have a lot of good name wide receivers out there, but like you said, it's tough to take Calvin Ridley because he doesn't pop off the page at you like some of the wide receivers from last year did. He's just kind of a solid guy. But ultimately, I think that's enough for John Lynch to want to pull the trigger. So San Francisco's got their wideout, Mr. Calvin Ridley.
Oh, nice. Threw me a little curveball there. I thought you were going away from him, but I like that pick. And I want this on record right now, February 17th at 2:26 p.m. in the afternoon. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a stud. Yeah. There's something about this guy where I wasn't sold until recently, but Not only did he just win games when he came in San Francisco when he finally got his chance, they gave him the money, they're making him the man, and he looks like an NFL quarterback coming off the bus, man. When I saw this guy, I'm like, he's not only been training under Brady for years, but this guy looks like I would put my franchise on him too from a physical perspective and just like a leader and a guy that is ready to go and take the reins. So if I'm wrong, we've got it documented, but man, I think he's going to be solid, especially with that coaching staff. Shanahan usually does wonders with QBs, so yeah, I think he's going to be good.
You get traded and you come in off the bench after a couple games and you lead the 49ers to 5-0, and that says something.
Mhm. Definitely, because like you say, we can barely name any of their playmakers. They had some of these guys pop up that you'd never heard of. So,
right.
But yeah, getting them a guy like Ridley would be nice. You got to build with what's there, and that was kind of the best skill guy there at the time.
It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do with Carlos Hyde. So,
right,
as a Lions fan, I'm hoping he hits free agency and we can get him, but who knows?
Yeah, no, it'd be nice. It's kind of weird how he went from really high to cooling off, and then but his numbers have been good. And what about that rook they took, the Williams kid that he got hurt early and didn't play? They loved him, I guess, coming out of the draft. So I'd be curious to see what he has. He's crazy speed, I guess. So maybe he'll pop off the page this year from a running back or a playmaker for them. So with that being said, I'll jump into the Raiders here. So we're at the number 10 pick overall with the Oakland Raiders. I think they got wideouts everywhere. They got their quarterback. I would hope that Marshawn comes back better. They have Khalil and some defensive people, but I'm going to go ahead and give them Roquan Smith, outside backer. I feel like, they got Khalil Mack and the guy out of Seattle coming off the other edge. So I feel like that's covered, but you just need linebackers that can fly from sideline to sideline or can pick up guys when those guys are rushing as hard as they do. So I think Roquan is just a beast. I kind of wish he would be down the board or slip so the Lions could get a guy like that and pair him up with Davis and then bump Tahir down if we end up keeping Tahir. Whitehead, bump him down a peg. But I think this guy's one of my favorite players in the draft from what I've seen and read about him. He just flies over everywhere, makes tackles, and is just a beast.
I like it. I think he's a pretty solid player. So I'm going to go back-to-back with the same position because Miami's in need of linebacker help as well. So they're going to go after the guy out of Virginia Tech, Mr. Tremaine Edmonds.
Nice. Have you done any extra watching on this Tremaine Edmonds, or you've been reading on him at all?
A little bit, yeah. And he seems to be, him and Smith seem to be neck and neck right now with who they rank higher. And I think both of these guys are going to end up, going in the top 15 of the draft, and I think these are the type of players that you get like in the middle round of the draft that can instantly make an impact, and I feel like that's what he's going to be able to do from a somewhat smaller school. I mean, Virginia Tech's not Mike Vick's Virginia Tech anymore, but I feel like he's definitely going to be able to come in and help out the Dolphins.
Nice, man. I heard somebody saying this is a 3-down linebacker and one of the top athletes / players in the draft recently. So you remember at first he was sort of mocked to the Lions and piqued our interest, and he's just been moving up ever since. So you've got him going 11 here overall. Be curious where he falls again, because he is sneaking up into that top 10, but I wouldn't be surprised if I guess I would be surprised or interested to see where he does go. So I am here with the Bengals. Let's look at my overall as well as maybe some positions they need. We put some needs here, and everybody out there listening, we're working off a Google sheet here where we have can see, me and Hughes can both see our picks, and we kind of have some needs here for each team. So we're looking at O-line. It even has quarterback in here as well as linebacker. I don't know. They seem so set on Andy Dalton, but if I had a QB I loved here, I might consider it because, man, I think I've seen what this guy's doing. I mean, looking at quarterback, Mason Rudolph, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. I mean, could Josh Allen be in play here? I mean, we are at pick 12, I suppose.
This is right around the range last year where Kansas City made the play to come up and get Mahomes. So if there's a team out there that's in love with Josh Allen, I could see Cincinnati being one of those teams that would be willing to trade back.
Yeah, but I just haven't heard any rumblings that they're moving on from. It just seems like what's Andy Dalton going to be there for another 5 years and never win any big games and just kind of be good some weeks and terrible the other weeks. I don't know. I wouldn't be that happy with that. But
he's definitely in the middle of the pack as far as quarterbacks in the league go. But they're losing their backup because McCarron won his grievance against the team, so he's now a unrestricted free agent. So if the time is now to get somebody in there who eventually could take over, now would be the time to do it.
That's right. They who was I just looking at? Got some players. The Bengals are always sort of rolling the dice. I don't see any great old linemen here either, so I don't know. I think he talked me into it just based on what I've heard of this kid and just me wanting to move on from Andy Dalton and team him up with Mixon and some of these other playmakers, get A.J. Green, a new person zinging the ball. We're going to go with Josh Allen out of Wyoming here.
Nice. Yeah, he's a small school guy, but I mean he's got the tools. He's similar background as Carson Wentz, so hopefully Cincinnati hopes he's got the same magic.
He might need a year or two. You don't see that these days, but if you have a guy like Dalton who knows the system and they feel okay with, just kind of coach him up to be an NFL player, and he's got all the arm talent, so maybe he just has to wait a little bit. So that's where I'm going. Kind of a curveball. I really didn't have him on, but I'm looking at the list. I just felt like maybe that's the best value for that team. A way to go.
Yeah, and I think at this point, Washington, with what's on the board now, it's basically all the needs that they have. Like we have pretty much across the board on defense that they need, and there's 3, in my opinion, stud defensive players still out there with Ward, the corner, James, the safety, and then Zeta, the defensive tackle. So they have their pick. And I think at this part of the draft, they would be ecstatic to get this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and give them the man out of Ohio State, Mr. Denzel Ward.
Oh, okay. Nice. Corners are so valuable, but there's no studs. But I watched some things on him and then heard some things, and I mean, he seems like the best of the bunch and a guy that's going to have to go in the middle of this round here to somebody. So. And
I don't think it hurts that his old running mate was just the NFL Rookie of the Year there in New Orleans either.
Mm-mm. Yep, nope. And as I'm looking down right in front of the Green Bay Packers, who its top need says corner, but it seems like they've been taking a ton of corners all over the map. So I'm going to kind of go away from that, at least here in the first round. We've also got some aging wide receivers, or who knows what's going to happen there. I'm going to go ahead and give them a guy that I just feel like can replace the guy like Clay Matthews. It just seems like a Green Bay type of rusher, Harold Landry out of Boston College. Just good value. That's what Thompson and those guys like from the GM perspective, and a guy that's just outside linebacker DN that rushes the passer. They always seem to replenish those year after year. So that's where I'm going.
I like it. So now where are we at now? 15th overall pick with Arizona. Arizona's another interesting team. I mean, if there was any more quarterbacks left on the board, I could see them going there just because of the injuries and what's going on, with their quarterbacks. But, I mean, there's really nobody left. We have the top, 5 guys off the board at this point, 4 guys. And I don't think Lamar Jackson or Rudolph would be somebody to take in this spot. But I do feel like whoever you get in there, you have to make sure that you stay protected. So we're going to go ahead and get our first offensive tackle on the board. And it might surprise some people because he might not be the highest rated on some of the groups, but to me he is, and that's Connor Williams out of Texas.
Nice. I can't figure out Arizona. Larry's coming back. They got David Johnson. They got all these freaky defensive players, but I don't know, maybe they'll be way better without Carson Palmer. He always seemed like he would just break something in his body and then the team would break, right after that. So, O-line help is another good one. They've had a few. They took my boy DJ Humphries a couple of years ago that I was thinking was going to be really good, and he's been hurt a lot.
Well, and then last year they took our boy that we were hoping that would slip down the line, but then with Son Reddick.
Oh, definitely. the Cardinals have my favorite defense. They just have there's 4 or 5 players on their D that you can just move everywhere and they can almost do everything. They're just freaks. So I love their defense. So like you said, protecting their quarterback. I'm curious to see who they get to play QB out there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's going to be some names available. Cousins, Case Keenum played his way into probably a contract. Bradford will probably be out there, and who knows if Minnesota's going to bring back Bridgewater. So, I mean, there's lots of guys. There's Josh McCown if they want to go. I mean, he played okay.
I could see Teddy White gloves out there.
Mm-hmm.
The double white gloves just out there slinging.
Right. Yeah.
Running that read option with David Johnson.
Yeah, they have some scary players there, man. I mean, that's for sure. So I think they're just a quarterback away from being good, because when they kept Carson healthy, they were good for a while, and then they couldn't. He got beat up, and Drew Stanton came in, and we all know about him. So
exactly. Well, like you say, always good to be able to protect whoever's back there. So Connor Williams is a mountain of a man, I believe, from what I've read, and just kind of like you said, best available. So good selection there. I'm on the clock at 16 with the Baltimore Ravens, and I am so happy with what has occurred here. I heard Ozzie Newsome is leaving, but I love drafting Ozzie Newsome players because he just always seems to get beasts and studs no matter where he's picking in the draft. And for some amazing reason, at number 16, my favorite freak probably in the draft, just by his mentality and where you can put him, is Derwin James, the safety, linebacker, just absolute missile that you can put everywhere. Some people don't like his overall instincts and don't know where to play him, but I could care less because I got faith in Ozzie and others that they're going to find. And this guy is just going to be a hitting machine and all over the field. And they even have a few safeties, Weddle and, the guy that moved over from Arizona. But I don't know. I think this guy is the next defensive monster in Baltimore. So we're going to head and take Derwin James.
I like it. The rich get richer. Baltimore always seems to find the defensive studs, no matter where they draft from.
Yeah. Can't wait to see where he falls, too, because he could be a top 8-10 guy, or he could fall to this back half of the first. I really don't know, but I was glad to send him to Baltimore there.
Yep. So now we're down to the Los Angeles Chargers of Anaheim. Oh, wait, no, that's not right. Who knows anymore?
Right.
But anyway, so they also have a fossil playing quarterback that they need to protect.
Yes.
My last pick, I went with Connor Williams. This time around, I'm going to go ahead and give them Mr. Orlando Brown.
Oh, boy. Is Orlando Brown a right tackle?
He is.
Okay.
If
you look at it, I got to you took a dig at him, and I don't mind it because he is old and he's been around forever, but Phillip Rivers is still maybe one of my favorite QBs. Every game I watch him, not only is he yapping at people and making plays, but I mean, the way he throws the football looks terrible, but it gets there, and it gets there on point, and he makes plays. So I kind of love the guy, even though, like you said, he's probably got a good couple of years left. So protect him. And like last year, they not only were able to run the ball, but throw it around. And they didn't have Forrest Lamp, who they have on the inside, who was like a top interior guy last year that'll hopefully really help Melvin and others. So, that's beefing up that line is great.
They've drafted defense a lot over the past handful of years, and this dude is 6'8", 360 pounds. So with Melvin Gordon working, and they got that young running back that took some off the plate of Melvin last year, and finally getting Keenan Allen being healthy. I mean, this is a team. What they finished 9-7 last year, so they can make a late run. They just gotta make sure that the fossil man is protected and well.
Hey man, like you say, keep him upright, and he'll drop dimes on people no matter how old he is. So protecting quarterback back to back for the Hughes picks. So I'm on the clock here with Seattle. Man, Seattle has went from just a dominant kind of scary defense and just a tough team to play to a team that's losing at home nowadays to teams they shouldn't, and just doesn't have an identity. But they do have a quarterback that I've grown to not only respect but think that one of the top players in the NFL. Can you protect him, and can you get him a run game, and can that defense remember who they are? I'm not sure, but so it's kind of a transition for Seattle. Looking at the board here, I'm going to go ahead and go having some second thoughts here, but trying to think of their team on the outside. So looking at their needs, but I'm actually just going to go off their needs. I feel like they need a bell cow in the backfield, so I'm going to give them Darius Geis at LSU here.
Interesting.
I feel like if you get Geis, he could maybe be your main guy, and then, I don't know that you're keeping around Eddie Lacy at this point, as well as they have a couple, Rawls, and then they also have Procise back there. I think Procise can be your third down kind of playmaker, and then I think Rawls can be a good backup to Geis, but I think if Geis is your main guy on first and second, and Procise, they could really use him in all these other areas. I think you can get back to running and play action pass, so I think he's a Seattle-type RB if they can get him there.
I like it. Going against the grain, which is nice. So Dallas, the Cowboys. So the Cowboys have a big decision on defense to make with their pass rushing specialist. What is his name, Lawrence?
Marcus Lawrence, he'll be back on a franchise for sure.
Yeah. So just looking at that team and knowing who their defensive coordinator is all too well, he loves him some defensive tackles. They also have a history of the last couple drafts of going with guys from Michigan. Last year, Taco, and also the corner. So I think they're going to follow the trend this year. The Dallas Cowboys are taking Mo Hurst from the University of Michigan.
Nice. You've married up some good needs and some good players on these picks throughout the first round. I think that it'd be interesting. It is interesting to see all those Michigan players, but just kind of how it's falling. And like you say, interior rush to go with some of those outside guys. Who knows with their linebackers? With Sean Lee's never healthy, and I don't even know who they have in the safeties nowadays. But they do have some decent corners to play with, so I could definitely see that interior rush guy. Is probably pretty set on offense. What do you think? Dez gone, or does he stay?
I think Dez stays. I think Dez realizes that team has put up with his crap more than many other teams would, and he'll just end up staying.
Really? Okay, we'll see. He has a ridiculous cap number, and he says he's not willing to come down on it, but I think my dream scenario is have Dez stay there, have Sammy Watkins come in, you pair up Watkins, Dez, Zeke, and Dak, and then you just, like you said, you sort of load up on your D and away you go. That'd be my thought.
I think, I'm with you there. I think he stays. I don't think Jerry Jones is about to let him go. So they've invested a lot of time and money in him already. Why stop now?
Well, he stopped now because for like 2-3 years he hasn't really made plays, and he's getting paid a ton because I thought he was going to be the next Calvin type, and since then he just went downhill, and he still has some off-the-field issues. But we'll see what happens there. So we have come to the number 20 pick here on the Detroit Koolaid cast for the Detroit Lions, number 20, lots of different needs. What we'll do here, Hughes, just for the podcast itself, is I'll kind of give you my layout, and I'd love to hear who you'd pick too, just so we have 2 picks here on the Lions before we finish out this mock. So at 20, as a Detroit fan, we're obviously thinking they need guys that can rush either from the edge or from the inside. Running back is something that the fans of Detroit are clamoring for because we just cannot run the football. We can't get short yardage. We can't score touchdowns. So those are some of the top 2 needs, but there's definitely other areas that could be improved too. So looking at the board, there are a couple backs on the board that are intriguing. There are a few interior rushers. The only outside guy that I see, which I still need to look at this guy more and figure out who he is and if he would even fit kind of what we do, is this Arden Key out of LSU. So he's the top player sort of on my short list or on my current board right now as far as talent. But looking at who's available, I'm going to pass on running back at this point, just thinking that there's probably would be somebody in the second, third, or fourth round that can give me some great value. So I'm going to go with a player that may fit the new scheme and also is kind of a different player than what we've had, but can also fit. So we're going to go ahead and take Vita Vea here, the defensive tackle, but also kind of a nose and also a mountain of a man, but I guess he is a good athlete, can run, and could maybe learn either beside Haloti or under Haloti if we could work something out. So I'm going to go that direction right here. Just wanting to stuff the run better and wanting a guy that's, had a good college career and fits the need. So that's going to be my pick there.
Yeah, so for me, just kind of looking at the board with who's available and what the needs are, obviously for me, the big question mark is still on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think there's a must-have running back that's here. We're obviously not in the need to help on the offensive line because we've kind of worked on that a lot the last couple of years. So to me, it comes down to defense. On defense, the two obvious picks out there would be Vita or, like you said, Key from LSU. I mean, Vita's probably my number one defensive tackle. I would say Key probably falls behind Chubb and Davenport as an edge rusher. So, at that point you have the top defensive tackle or the third pass rusher. But another guy that kind of surprises me that he's still on the board who I think would help the team out a lot and kind of, we're still unsure how the Lions defense is going to shake out, if they're going to go with the quote-unquote Patriots way or not. But this guy, to me, seems like he has the right size. We add him to the group that we have already right now, and I think it becomes one of the elite groups. So if I was taking this pick, I would go with the cornerback Josh Jackson out of Iowa, 6'1".
Josh Jackson. Where you're gonna play him? What's the best case scenario for him? Number 2 with Slay, and you're pushing Tees and the other guys down the board a bit on the depth chart.
Yeah, so I'm going into the season thinking that Diggs is going to play safety with Quinn. So you got Diggs and Quinn back there.
Uh-huh.
I don't think you bring back DJ Hayden. I don't think you bring back Nevin Lawson. I think you let those two guys walk. So really you're left with Slay and Tees. So if you add Jackson, then you have that 3-player rotation. And obviously in the league now, a lot of teams automatically play the nickel anyway. So he'd probably be out there just as much as a linebacker would be. So those are the 3 guys I'm going out there with: Slay, Tees, and Jackson.
Man, that would be a first for the Lions to have that kind of depth and that kind of size at corner. So very very interesting pick and thought process, and definitely wouldn't mind it. I've always kind of said which I didn't make it up. Many people say it. You can never have too many corners, but man, that would be interesting. Other guys on the board, as Lions fans know, Ronald Jones is sort of the top running back at this point, or Sony Michel, but we feel like we already kind of got a Sony Michel and some of these other Theos and Amirs. So not sure, even though that's the kind of playmaker that they've liked to take over the years, even though it hasn't worked out. And then guy that's been creeping up or I've been listening to is this Taven Bryan out of Florida.
Yep.
If they want a penetrating guy or kind of an impact type inside player, that could be a thought as well. And then Jerron Payne, Ronnie Harrison, depending on what they do at safety, and some of these other guys are out there. So interesting picks. Even Vita Vea, I don't know what Mr. Matt Patricia is going to give us as far as defense. So, do you need that big nose? But I think he's athletic enough that he could penetrate and get, make plays in the run game from side to side. He's not just an anchor there in the middle. So, like you say, we just haven't had that run stuffing since Sue left and those guys. So, help me stop the run. And like you say, we've got some better corners and DBs now. So, interesting picks for our squad there. So you're up with Buffalo as we finish out the last few picks.
So we got back-to-back Buffalo picks here at 21 and 22. So I'll make the 21st, you make the 22nd.
All right.
Buffalo is definitely a team that could be in the market for a quarterback, but again, like we've talked about, I don't think Lamar Jackson fits the need here. But this is a name that you just recently talked about. Defensive tackle is a need for this squad, so I'm going to go ahead and give them that boy out of Florida, Mr. Bryan there, Tavon.
Okay. Nice. He seems like Buffalo. They did lose Marcel Darius, so another penetrating inside guy for Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I put this guy to Buffalo a couple times now, and it just doesn't seem Like, it makes sense, but I just feel like it makes sense for some reason, the way the NFL is going. So I think Shady still has some things in the tank. I feel like he can still be around for a couple of years, but I think he needs even a little help. And the guy that feels and looks like Shady to me in this draft is Ronald Jones II out of USC. So I'm actually just going to pair up this run game and say no matter who you have at quarterback, you're going to feed Shady and this new rookie, and you're just going to pound the ball in Buffalo and not let Shady get hurt like he does every year with a little help and figure out, I think they have wideouts nowadays too. So
with the guy from Carolina, big guy.
Got Benjamin, and they took Zay Jones.
Yeah.
So
cool. All right, so now we're on to 23 with the Rams. So the Rams at this point, if this is how the board falls, will be sprinting up to the podium with their card as a team that is in desperate need of cornerbacks. They are going to go ahead and take Jackson from Iowa here.
Nice. Yep, definitely. What did they? Oh yeah, they traded their top corner for Sammy last year, and like you say, man, did they make a leap forward this year? So yeah, a little help on the edges, being able to cover people would be good. So I like that. All right, let me check here. I got the Carolina Panthers at number 24. Man, I'm looking at their needs, and again, I'm just going to go best available. I feel like Carolina has a good defense. They probably need an outside guy. Hold on. Let me look. I might be thinking they did kind of get rid of their receivers, but they have both McCaffrey and that other kid they took that is going to help in their passing game. So another receiver or thinking an edge guy. I'm going to go ahead and just give them the best available at this point and an edge player, so Arden Key. Thinking that maybe Peppers leaves, or if he stays, this kid learns under him for a little bit and can kind of just be an edge rusher. So
nice. I think Tennessee's in the same boat. They're looking for an outside guy to kind of get some pass rush. Obviously, they have Jarrell Casey in the middle who helps out with that, but they need a guy on the outside. So these are going to bring in a guy who's similar to him, who can play outside, play inside. He's got a fun name, so we're going to go ahead and give them the Payne. My man.
Here comes the Payne.
Ron Payne.
Nice. Okay. I really don't know what to think about Tennessee as far as a team. They could either be really good next year or terrible. I don't know. I feel like they have good young talent, but I don't know what that defense is. So giving them another player is a good idea.
It's all about Mariota for them.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to.
He's got to be better, no doubt.
Yep.
Or just get that DeMarco Murray out of there and just feed Derrick Henry.
Yep. Always worried about your fantasy team, are you?
Well, sometimes, gotta get that in there. But DeMarco Murray is done. Come on, he's no good.
No.
All right, so I got the Atlanta Falcons here. I'm throwing it out there now too. I think the Atlanta Falcons can get right back to being the top of the food chain this year. They got so many good young players all over the map. They've had so many good drafts that I can basically go anywhere I want right here.
Yeah.
Just looking at who I might even want to give them because I don't feel like I'm totally looking for need here per se. Let's go ahead and go. I figure Matt Ryan will get paid, and we have a good run game. We're going to take McGlinchey out of Notre Dame there. Nice. Guard/tackle that can kind of give him some flexibility but can get in there and protect as well as maybe move some people in the run game. So,
absolutely. All right, so now we're on to the Saints. Now, I feel weird taking this type of player in the first round for the Saints just because it doesn't seem to matter who they throw out there. They end up having great years. Mm-hmm. And last year that was the case for Ted Ginn, but they need an upgrade to go with Michael Thomas. I'm going to give them second best receiver on the board and Mr. Cortland Sutton.
Oh, man, I love that pick. Yeah, they definitely have to, there's some couple tight ends I'd like to see in New Orleans, but I don't know about right here, as far as value. But, yeah, they need some new skill guys if they're going to keep Breeze around. And, man, Have they just hit some home runs or what in these drafts? Unbelievable.
Yep, no doubt.
All right, Pittsburgh Steelers. Got a few more selections here. I'm going to go ahead with Pittsburgh Steelers and looking at what they normally go for. Offense seems set. So this guy, I don't know if he doesn't feel like a first rounder. No. I was going to say, I don't know where Deshaun Hand, if he gets in the first round, but I'm actually not going to go there. I feel like their corners are set in Pittsburgh, so I'm going to give them Ronnie Harrison, safety. I feel like they need somebody more in that back end to help out.
Nice. All right, now to probably one of the most intriguing teams from last year's postseason, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who kind of ran out of steam there at the end, couldn't make enough plays to make it happen, but they have a
Hold on, before you make this pick,
sure.
I was listening the other day, and somebody said they would sprint up to the podium if this guy was there, and he is there in this situation, so I'm curious if you're going to pick him, and if you don't, I want to give you a scenario once you're done, so go ahead, sir.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give him another weapon on the offensive side of the ball, another small school type of guy. I think he fits what they need, and that's tight end Dallas Go Dirt. Not Joe Dirt, Go Dirt.
Put like a little French spin on it or something. I believe it's Goddard, sir, but something like that. But yes, I don't know much about this guy except I think he's like 6'6" or something and just a 240, 50, whatever he is, kind of a beast. Seems to be the top tight end is from a catching perspective and just on the board. Does he get in the first round? We'll have to wait and see, but they definitely need a tight end in Jacksonville. So he did not take the player that I heard about, and that when I heard this, I didn't even think about it until then, and I thought, ooh, I like it. So the thing I was listening to said if this worked out, you would sprint the card up, hand it to the commissioner, and be just high-fiving left and right. How about for the Jacksonville Jaguars, one of the dirtiest defenses in football, crazy run game, some great skill guys on the outside already, pretty much set, at a lot of spots. Give me Lamar Jackson at quarterback. Heisman Trophy winner, can play a little, option game with Leonard Fournette. I thought, oh man, to me, Lamar Jackson, if he is an NFL quarterback and if he can translate those skills, what a dirty team or a tough team that would be to play with their D and with a QB and the run game. Oh, I wouldn't know what to do there. So that's interesting. I don't know if he gets in the first round or if they view him as a top quarterback, but I think he's such a sick athlete that he could be a playmaker in the league.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think he's one of those players that everybody has a different opinion on. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Blake played his way into another chance. So I don't know if they'll jump ship on him yet, but that's interesting.
See, because Blake Bortles, not to belabor this point, and we'll finish out the draft here in a minute, but to me, he did play better, and I don't mind the guy. But I don't know that he's Jacksonville's almost reshaped their team, and now they almost feel like a Pittsburgh or a Baltimore with the kind of defensive side of the ball they have, and they need I don't know, either a really crazy playmaker or a ridiculous pocket passer. And to me, Lamar Jackson, again, you don't win the Heisman by accident, could be just a ridiculous guy the NFL has a hard time dealing with. And if you get the ball out of your hands to Allen Robinson, if they keep him, Marquise Lee, they have some people they got to figure out who they're keeping, who they're not at receiver, but I don't know. And then just how do you deal with Leonard Fournette? You don't.
Yeah, no, you don't. He's a
right.
man-child.
Yeah, so we'll see what they do, but I wouldn't be surprised if they either do something like that or they go get a QB and say, Blake, we appreciate you, but not that much. See ya.
Yep.
So I'm up here with Minnesota.
Yep, Minnesota, and then we got the last two.
All right. So the Vikings at 30, another spot that Lamar Jackson could go. Oh, and he's on the board. Imagine that. we already talked, though, I kind of do think Kirk Cousins might go there. They have a beast coming back in Dalvin Cook. So let me look here. I'm going to go ahead and go. I just feel like he's a first rounder, especially at this point, and maybe a Zimmer kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Just go ahead and give me a rush end. Sam Hubbard seems like kind of a rush end that might fit that kind of team, fits the Minnesota vibe out there. And
I like it. Yep.
Depth, even if he can't start right away, it could be good depth. You always got to have rushers. So.
Yep. Nope, I'm with you on that. All right, so now we're on to New England Patriots, still licking their wounds.
Oh, terrible.
After coming off the loss to the Philadelphia Eagles, but
I'm still mad. They got to be mad.
So the biggest question coming out of the Super Bowl for New England was what's going on with Malcolm Butler. A lot of people said if Malcolm Butler would have played, they would have won. So I feel like they are in a spot where they need to restock in the backfield, or the cornerback, the secondary, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, even though he's got a cool name, he is not related to me, but I'm going to go ahead and give them Mike Hughes, the corner.
Nice. I had heard Mike Hughes in the late first round. I don't know much about him. He's one of my people. I gotta see what's going on there for him. But
yeah, I know he's one of those guys that old Mayock loves. He's right behind Jackson for him. He's got pretty good size. He's 6 foot, about 190 pounds. So he definitely fits in like what New England likes to do in the secondary.
Nice. Yeah, that's like say only having I think we only got 3 corners in this mock. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm finishing out the round with the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. As hard as that is for me to say, I was really pulling for Brady there to get another one, but man, this team they snuck up on me. But they have a quarterback. They now have a run or not two. They got a few different backs that they can lean on. You know, if they end up keeping all those. I don't mind their outside guys. The defense is obviously ridiculous with rushers and people all over the place. So, just looking at who's available here. I'm going to who do I want to give him? I'm going to go ahead and give him another. Just looking at the board, I'm just trying to think who fits in the first round and where their needs could be. Go ahead and who's playing on the outside for Philly these days? They got
Brandon Graham.
No, what about wideouts? Do they need a wideout?
Alshon.
Oh yeah, they inked him.
Nelson
Aguilar's out there.
Yeah. Torrey Smith.
Okay, so they got people out there. So, it looks like linebackers in need here. So I'm going to go ahead and give him this Micah Kaiser, who I've kind of been reading about. He just seems like a good player. Just at the background, you're just looking maybe you need a leader in the middle or an outside guy. He could probably do that out of Virginia. So we'll go ahead and give him that, just kind of round out. I was trying to almost look for a home run pick there to kind of end it, but Philly's kind of been picking meat and potatoes, and it works out for them. So we'll go ahead and do that to close out our first mock of the year. Now, we definitely gave you guys a lot more content and a lot more takes there, but figured on that first one we kind of walk you through. And as we do more of these, we might go more rapid fire, as well as kind of always trying to put more of a focus as we get closer to that Lions pick and what they're thinking and how each pick might impact the Lions here at Koolaid Cast. So, Hughes, I think it went well. I think we both had some great picks there. Any big takeaways?
No, I think the way this is, the first time we've recorded a mock, but we've done a handful just back and forth on this Google sheet, and the more and more we do it, the more and more it sticks out how quarterback heavy at the top of this draft that is, and how the teams behind the quarterbacks are excited because it's pushing a lot of good players back. I mean, at the end of the day, the Lions in this mock get a stud from Vita, and I just think that, other regular years where there's not quarterback heavy, he's at the top. So I think this works out well for the Lions and other teams that don't have quarterbacks. So it's exciting to have a defensive-minded coach coming in and drafting some defensive talent for, first time in a long time. We've been really focused on getting Stafford and his offense up, so time to get that defense in check.
There you go. Yep. Actually had some good picks at 20, whereas I think some of those guys are either going to be already gone or you just never know what's going to shake out on draft day. But like you say, walking away happy with the Lions, seems like a Matt Patricia type player to kind of meat and potatoes, middle of your defense, nothing flashy. It seems like that would be a nice way to go rather than rolling the dice on this first draft pick. Just get somebody that's going to help this D make plays and be a good character and just a guy that can, like I say, plug the middle, push the pocket a little bit. Those are all the things you need. He said it starts with the lines on both sides, which everybody says, but I think he both means it, and that's a good way to start when you're the new guy on the block. So feel good about it, and like you said, always interesting to see where these QBs and players go at the top, and as a Lions fan, we're always rooting for quarterback skill players to go so that we can get both defense and big nasties to slide down that board there where we can pick them and help this team. I don't think we're too far away from, not only getting in the playoffs, but we need to start winning multiple games in the playoffs to really be where this team needs to be in the next, I'd say the next 2 years are going to be big to kind of see which way they go. And we think the arrow is pointing up. So appreciate it, man. It was fun to do a mock there and worked our way through. Hope everybody listening liked it, and we'll keep the content coming here at Detroit Koolaid Cast.